Hey there, it's Lacy J here to ask you to go to spacebearmedia.com right now to access all our content, buy yourself some merch, and most importantly, send us a message, the latter of which we'll reply to on our newly revamped weekly pre-shows, where we have as many fun segments as we do on the audio pod. There are current events with Christy, corrections and observations with Ben, and as always, questions with Derek. Plus, I have new fun facts and tell a terrible fucking joke every single week. Please join us, and please consider rating and reviewing us on your favorite app or recommending us to a friend who loves Lost. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Lost in My 40s, Season 3, Episode 14, the one we've been talking about for a while.
Razzle-Dazzle.
It's called Expose. It's a piece of shit episode starring Nikki and Paulo. Christy's bringing it to us, and we've got a special guest. I know we promised you two. There's a little bit of drama. Dear Ado had a conflict with the lovely Dave. We've got one Irish lad for you today. Welcome back, Dave. It's nice to have you.
Thank you so much for having me, folks. What a pleasure. What an honor. You know, Ado's not here, so I get to spread my wings. He's not going to be, beating me down verbally like the others. I'm feeling more confident than I usually do.
Yeah, it's very nice to have you back. We are going to get into the Razzle-Dazzle shortly, but Ben, could you please update us on what our power rankings look like after the first 13 episodes? This is going to be all revealed to Dave because most of these episodes haven't aired yet. So you get to find out what our rankings look like.
What a treat for him. What a treat for him. Yeah, we've got Sawyer running strong with 71 points. Behind him, Juliet took up second place with 61, and we've got the mayor of Islandtown, Hurley, with 50 points. We also have a two-way race for fourth place between Ben Linus and Desmond, each with 49 points.
I saw that. They're tied.
Very,
this is
very
really
tight.
anybody's game still, because there are some badass Ben and Desmond episodes coming up in this season. So I have a feeling they could pull ahead.
Yeah.
All right. Any surprises there, Dave? Are you shocked by that?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised at Ben Linus. So let me just outline the perspective I'm coming from here. So you guys know I co-host a podcast called Lost the Plot. We are currently only halfway through season 2. So I have watched today's episode Expose kind of out of context, having not seen the surrounding episodes in about 5 to 10 years.
And we put you through that last season as well. You came in for Charlie in his diaper, and you guys were nowhere near that as well.
That's right, yeah. Funny enough, we haven't even gotten to that episode in Lost
Isn't
the Plot
that wild? Yeah. It looks like we're going to have a tradition of bringing you in for the most fucked up, weird-ass episodes in the show.
Yeah. So the whole liking Ben Linus, I mean, maybe it's a kind of love to hate situation, but his brief appearance in this episode, I think we'll talk about it later, did not get him any favor with me.
I hated him at first, but now I like him. So
yeah, so we've come around. We used to give him bad scores for being bad, and we've all kind of come around, mostly Christy, not as much, but to giving him good scores for being bad because he's just so entertaining and so.
I mean, I gave him great scores right from the beginning because I love him.
Yes,
I love how insidious he is, and he's always a step ahead.
I want to make it. I want to make it very clear. I think he's a great character. I think he deserves that spot, but yeah, just based on this episode, I was like, people have been liking him recently. Right. Huh? Okay.
All right, Ben. So who's in the bottom 3? And then we'll get going.
The bottom is, we've got Dead Pants Danny. We have no real surprise there. Somehow Paulo Poopstick is at negative 66 points, despite very limited showings. Like he's barely been in this show, but we hate him.
We hate his face.
Hate fucking him. And then we've got Anthony Cooper in third place with negative 32 points.
Yeah.
Can you remind me who
that's Locke's
third
dad
from the bottom is?
Locke's dad.
No. The third from the bottom.
Oh, Danny. Danny. Yeah.
Who's that?
No, he was the worst. Ben, he was going in reverse order. That's Danny with the dad pants. He used to be Dad Pants Danny. Now he's Dead Pants Danny because he died.
He's one of the others.
Was he?
One of the
Yeah.
others, yeah.
Oh, he is.
yeah.
Okay.
Had a real
I don't
temper.
really remember him, to be honest.
Yeah.
Problem with Sawyer.
Yeah, the one who was going to try to kill Sawyer, and then Juliet ends up killing him.
Pistol
That's
whipped
coming
him.
back to me.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
That's coming back.
I think it's time. Christy,
Finally.
You have to.
take us through
We can skip it.
expose. Let's do it.
All right. We are at day 81 on the island, and Nikki is just frantically running through the jungle. She pulls something out of her bag and then like starts digging in the dirt and buries whatever it is. And then she's like stumbling and running some more. And we go to flashback number 1.
This is the best scene in the show. I'm just going to say it. It's all downhill from here.
Yep.
Running.
I can't wait to share my final thoughts. I feel like I'm the unorthodox opinion
All
on this
right.
episode.
We love it. And don't lie,
So
Ben, because at the beginning of this next scene, she comes out in that like sequin bikini thing or like diamond bikini. And I'm watching it in the kitchen, and Ben's like over his shoulder. He goes, "What are you talking about? This is a great episode."
Yeah,
I'm saying this
she's
is
hot.
this,
She's just
this
dumb.
flashback is the best scene. It's all downhill. I'm just saying that.
Yep.
All right. Go
All
ahead.
right. So Nikki's on stage in a strip club wearing a white hat and a white jacket. And she is announced as Corvette, the Pride of
Vroom.
St. Paul.
Yeah.
Although,
she-
do you get, there's sort of a connection there, like Little Red Corvette, the Prince song, who lived in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Oh,
That's got to be it. Because I was kind of thinking Corvette's a shitty name for a
Yeah, it
stripper.
is a shitty name for
She is a
stripper.
little too demanding.
Yeah.
All right.
so she throws off her little white hat. She rips off the white jacket, and she is in what appears to be a rhinestone encrusted bikini.
Yeah.
She does
Check,
a little
baby, check, baby, 1, 2.
Right. She does a little pole dance. Rump Shaker by Rex and Effect is playing. And then she notices a man in a suit enter the back room. So she ends up following him. And as she goes in, she sees him opening a case full of money. And there's another man in a purple hat facing the closed captioned television feeds. Nikki yells, "No, that's the money for the orphanage.
Oh my
That
God.
means, Mr. Lashade, you're the Cobra."
What is this?
Oh.
Mr. Lashade is none other than Billy D. Williams.
Oh, yes. Billy D.
Right.
I had completely forgotten that he was in the
Me too.
show.
It was a nice surprise. I was like, oh my God, I forgot about that.
Is he maybe, I mean, you guys are more familiar with it so far than me. The only actor of a similar caliber I can think of, like of fame, was Robert Patrick, was in a Sawyer episode in season 2. He's got to be like the biggest actor in this show, right?
Yeah, as like a cameo.
Yeah, I think
actor.
so.
That makes sense to me.
I mean, the Lost never had any like big. I mean, I know Matthew Fox was like in Party of Five and stuff. All of them had like television fame, and I know Billy D also isn't like what you consider A-list, but for the time and for this
Oh, for
show, it was
sure.
probably a pretty
Yeah.
big
This is
name
Star
for a
Wars,
cameo,
man.
right?
So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say,
Yeah.
yeah, he's Lando.
So far,
that's
yeah,
pretty
he's the
A-list.
biggest one that's been in there.
It's
But
Far.
yeah, I think that's correct. I was watching Law and Order SVU these last
I'm sorry.
few days. I went on like a little bit of a binge, and I found episodes with Benjamin Linus, with Ethan. Juliet was in an episode, and then Boone was in an episode, and fucking hilariously enough, the storyline in the episode, he was having incest with his brother. I'm like, why?
Whoa. With his what?
With his brother.
Ew.
I mean, it's not Shannon, it's not like his stepsister or whatever, like his actual like brother in
Oh.
the episode. I just couldn't believe it was an incest
I'm
line.
relieved.
It made
For a
me
second, I
laugh.
thought he was being typecast, but
Yeah.
he's fucking his brother. That's totally different.
Wow.
Oh my God. Anyways.
Boone occupies a very specific a section of the sexuality Venn diagram, which is incestual bisexuality.
Wow, it's a small group. Lots of representation, though. Weird.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, woke as hell.
Christy,
He also
go
represents the
ahead.
vampires.
Indeed.
They're pretty cool
Okay.
people.
So when Nikki calls out Billy D as the Cobra, he says, "Sorry, baby, it's just business." He makes a comment about her being both pretty and smart, and then signals for the other man to attack her.
This is
This
the
is the
best.
best. She kicks the gun out of his hand, karate chops him on the neck and yells, "Razzle-Dazzle!"
Love it.
Oh my god! I knew this episode is going to be trash.
Oh my god, I
After that.
had totally forgotten about Razzle-Dazzle. That
Oh
was the
my
fucking
God.
best.
I think kicking the gun out of somebody's hand is probably my favorite. You don't kick guns out of people's hands. That's just not how you disarm somebody.
Yeah.
Unless you've got real razzle-dazzle, and I guess it's possible. Then.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They turn the cheese factor up to 11 here, and I love it. This is clearly supposed to be a parody of like Charlie's
Yeah,
Angels or
totally.
something,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
Like,
Yeah.
so you know what I mean? Like they're leaning into it. I think that's very self-aware how just ridiculous it is, and that's why I like it.
I love how you casually threw in the turning up to 11 reference too. I like that. That's good.
Yeah. So she tries to grab the gun, but Mr. Lashade / the Cobra / Billy D pulls out another one and shoots her 3 times. 2 other strippers enter and they see her body on the floor, and Lashade lies to them and he says, "Autumn, Crystal, bad news. Corvette was working for the Cobra, but fear not, he will pay."
Oh my God.
Then we hear, and
Also, Autumn
cut.
and Crystal. Autumn and Crystal are good stripper names too.
Yeah.
Yeah, much better than Corvette.
I always
So-
wanted to name a daughter Autumn, but now I realize that might have been a bad choice. All
So
right.
the scene is cut, and then the production crew rushes in. Nikki lifts up her head. Billy D. Williams is now playing himself, and he helps Nikki up off the ground. They exchange some pleasantries about working with each other, and then Nikki heads over to the director, and he says, "All right, that's a series wrap for Corvette. Let's hear it for Nikki."
No, I don't want
So
to.
most of the crew cheers for her, and she thanks them. The director is an old man. He's got to be at least 40, probably 50 years older than her.
He's the kind of guy that does coffee enemas.
Dave didn't realize you were going to say older. He was like,
Old. I thought you were gonna say he's like
not
40.
40.
I'm like, hey, you guys are 40. You don't have to
No shit. God.
That's why I'm saying he's probably 50 years older than her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gross.
And then he tells her that if she decides that she wants to come back next season, he'll write that Corvette was wearing a bulletproof vest.
Ugh.
She points to the fact that she's
God.
wearing a bikini, and he says, "Bulletproof breasts."
Oh my God.
All right, spoiler. Worst moment of the episode for me was that.
Yes,
It was pretty.
I
yeah,
hate
it
it
was
bad.
so
stupid.
much. Can I also just say, why in the blue fuck would they be filming the show in Sydney?
I was wondering that
like
too.
all American
Yeah.
cast. There's no way a studio would hemorrhage that much
Right.
money to film outside LA for the show that absolutely does
Yes,
not need to be
this is
filmed.
very true.
outside
Yeah, that
LA.
doesn't make
This
any
is
sense at all. No, you're right.
the suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
Here is.
Razzle-dazzle. That's what I think about that.
Razzle-dazzle. Yeah, that's why. Whenever something doesn't make sense, the reason is
That's
razzle.
exactly right.
Maybe the director is sort of like, I don't know if you guys ever heard about Stanley Kubrick.
yeah.
He
Love him.
Of course.
He filmed everything in Britain towards the end of his career. Even his last movie, Eyes Wide Shut, which is set in New York, they filmed the entire thing on a set built to look like the East Village or something, because he was so deathly afraid of flying that he wouldn't leave the
Oh, wow.
island of Great Britain. So maybe this director is sort of an auteur of shitty television where he's settled in Australia and never wants to leave, so he has to bring all the production of his mid-range shows.
I'll buy it. I'll buy
Like a
it. Yeah,
boat.
we were talking about Stanley Kubrick a few episodes ago when Carl was in the like Clockwork Orange scene, and they find him. I don't know if you remember that, Dave, because
yeah.
you're all out of order. But
Yeah, rings
Yeah.
a bell. It rings a bell.
all right, Christy.
All right, so this old fart asks Nikki if she's going to be leaving Sydney now that her guest star appearance is over. And she says, "No, I love you." And he says,
Just looks and
"You-"
personality.
Yeah, gross. He says that he loves her too, and then they kiss.
Ugh.
Ew.
Gross.
Back on the island, just moments after the opening scene, Sawyer and Hurley are playing ping pong, and after losing, Sawyer says, "Son of a bitch." He wants to play best out of 7 instead of best out of 5. But then Nikki comes running onto the beach. She stumbles and falls to the ground, and it looks like she's struggling to breathe. Hurley and Sawyer rush over, and she's trying to speak, but she can only make out, lies.
Every time I see this, every time I saw this scene, I can only think of the scene in Heathers where the Heather drinks the Drano, and then she just like grabs her throat, starts choking, and just goes corn nuts, and then goes right through the glass table.
Are you too young for Heathers, Dave? Do you know what we're talking about?
I know of it, but I've never
it's
seen it.
brilliant.
You weren't even
So I don't really
born.
get the
It was
reference.
80s.
It's so great. It is so great.
Was it a TV show?
No, it's a
No.
movie.
It's a movie.
Movie.
And
okay,
just as a side note, I used to work at a video store, and for some reason, we had that movie in the comedy section.
It is a
Well, it
comedy.
is sort of. It's a satire. It's a black
It's a
comedy.
dark comedy.
Black comedy, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Dark,
that it would have
yeah.
been, I don't know,
It's
better
really
in,
dark.
like the
humor.
cult section, you know?
Also true. It's also
A video
like a
store
cult
with like
classic,
real
yeah.
tapes and stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's like
Yeah, we even had an adult room.
Oh, I remember that behind a curtain. Yeah, they always have a curtain.
Not that adult.
Yeah, I'm gonna add this to my watch list. It sounds good.
It's Christian Slater and
Winona Ryder.
Winona
Winona
Ryder.
Ryder, and then who
It
played
doesn't matter. We don't
Brenda
have to.
from
We don't have to
Friends?
say who the whole,
We don't need the whole cast
is.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that's the most important.
Yeah,
Heathers, watch it. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Christy.
it's great.
It's on my watch list.
Okay, so Sawyer says that they need to get water and help. He gets up and peers into the jungle in the direction that she came from, and as Hurley watches, Nikki stops moving. Sawyer turns and tells Hurley to get moving, but Hurley says, "Dude, Nikki's dead." And Sawyer replies, "Who the hell is Nikki?"
You have an excellent point, Sawyer. Excellent point.
Lost has done some great like cut to title card.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Lines before. This is
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
It's the look on Sawyer's face, especially as well. He just looks like he's weighing the gravity of the situation, but he's also
Really genuinely like, who the fuck is Nikki? That's great.
81 days, you don't know who Nikki is.
Right. And she was apparently like a movie star or a television star. So,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. Lost title screen. Now we are in flashback number 2. It's 84 days ago, and Nikki is in the director's house. His name is Zuckerman. They're having breakfast, and Nikki is just going on about how great the frittata is.
Shut up.
That's when Zuckerman introduces his new chef, Paulo.
Ruh-roh.
Nikki compliments the food, and he tells her that the secret is shaved truffles.
No, it's
Shut
not.
up. Shut up.
No, fuck off. Nikki pretends to whisper to him that he should ask for a raise, and Paulo
Oh.
chuckles. And Nikki bursts into laughter. So Paulo's leaving. He's going back to the kitchen, and Zucker tells her that Paulo showed up at his office every day asking for this job. Apparently, back home, he's known as the Wolfgang Puck of Brazil.
Christ.
And his
Yeah.
name is George Santos.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I think a couple episodes ago we thought he was from Argentina, but I guess it was Brazil.
So another unbelievable thing, he offers her a roll and she picks it up. I mean, people that skinny who are on TV don't eat bread.
Oh, I
He
thought-
rolls.
I thought another role like another
ROLE.
show. She was going to be
Yeah.
on another.
Yeah, I thought you were saying that as well.
He
Just
offers
kind of a-
her a bread roll, and she picks it up, and underneath of it, she finds a diamond bracelet.
Oh,
Ugh.
Oh, boy.
She's so happy, and he tells her that soon it will be a ring. He just needs to leave his wife.
okay.
And you need to
God.
also lose the ponytail, friend. I'm just saying.
Yep.
Yeah, he's like the poor man's version of why can't I think of his name now?
I don't know.
Sean
Somebody
Connery.
goofy-
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yes. Yes. Sean Connery.
We should call him Con Seannery from now on.
Con
Yeah.
Seannery.
Con Seannery. Yes.
So all of a sudden, Con Seannery starts choking and grabbing at his chest. Nikki screams for Paulo, who comes rushing in. They both stand over Zuck as he's moaning. And then once he stops moving, Paulo checks for his pulse and says he's gone. Nikki reaches for the body, yanks open his shirt, and yanks a necklace holding a key from his neck. She snaps at Paulo about having to eat that kind of food that Zuck likes.
This bitch. Are you
No shaved
seriously
truffles?
stopping in the middle of a murder to complain about the menu? Like, what?
Yeah. Apparently
I
she
told
didn't
you.
like the frittata.
I told you
God.
she's just too demanding.
So they enter a walk-in closet. Nikki tells Paulo that everything there is way off the books and nobody else knows about it. So she puts the key into the lock. Paulo's a fucking idiot. He pulls out a cigarette.
How dumb is he, really?
She reminds him that ashes are evidence and tells him not to smoke. And then she's like, we just poisoned him. Let's not poison ourselves.
Shut the fuck up,
Nikki.
In the show's defense, this does serve the plot. You know what I mean? There's a reason why it establishes that he smokes.
Yeah, of course.
It's true.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to.
So he reluctantly snaps his lighter shut and Nikki opens the safe. She pulls out one of those Russian dolls, and then she opens, several layers of it, and she gets to the core, and they smile, and Nikki says, "Razzle-Dazzle."
God.
Please stop. Oh my God.
This use of Razzle-Dazzle, I don't mind. I don't like nearly as much.
Like Razzle-Dazzle.
It's too far.
I
Ben,
do
what were you
like
gonna
the doll is an analog for Nikki because her character's got so many layers and so much depth and
Oh,
But
that's
it's
yeah.
ultimately hollow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one of those authentic from Russia. My great-grandma, Lithuanian great-grandma, owned it, and it's been passed down to me. It's from early 1900s.
that's the one that's in my office, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
I gave one of those to my mom, and not nearly as great a story. I just bought it on a layover in Moscow airport.
Oh, fun.
Cool.
Yeah, they're cool. They're fun. They're fun little things. But yeah, it's one of the only things I have from that side of the family, honestly.
Although that time I
anyways.
was going through Moscow airport, it was in March of 2020. I was fleeing from Southeast Asia to go home to Ireland when the
Holy
pandemic's
cow,
breaking
because
out.
of COVID?
And so they only had one terminal open in this entire airport, but you could still walk to the other terminals. And so it's the only time I've ever seen an airport terminal completely empty. It was very eerie and very
That's
awesome.
creepy.
Yeah.
That's weird.
So, yeah. So back on the beach, Nikki's body's laying on the ground, and a bunch of the originals are discussing what to do. Charlie wants to know what happened, and Hurley says they checked for gunshot wounds, knife wounds, polar bear bites, and found nothing. Sun thinks that maybe she ate something bad, and Charlie wonders if she was poisoned. Sun is like, I'm going to go check the food supply. And then Charlie notices that there's gunk under her fingernails and wants to know where they found her. Sawyer says she came out of the jungle, face planted, and said plywood and sayonara.
Plywood.
That's definitely what happened.
Hurley thinks she said power lines.
Yep. Also makes sense.
And then Sawyer says she was 5 seconds from dying, so who knows what the hell she said. Hurley interrupts with a shout. Paulo lies! Not power lines, Paulo lies. And then Sawyer says, who the hell is Paulo?
Love it.
Hurley tells him that he's her husband or boyfriend or whatever, and they live down the beach. So Sawyer thinks that finding Paulo is a good place to start.
I love that Sawyer is totally voice of the audience here. The producers,
Right.
And not to get ahead too much, but the producers have straight up said that the reason for this episode existing was sort of giving into the demands of the fans who nobody liked Nikki and Paulo. And Sawyer is totally just these people don't even go here.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But didn't the
And-
fans want Nikki and Paulo or someone like them?
It wasn't that they wanted Nikki and Paulo specifically, but there was chatter about how why don't we ever see any of the other survivors during
the
the
red
first
shirts.
couple of seasons, and that was their response, was to give lines to these other people, and then everybody fucking hated it, and they were like, all right, well, I
Be
guess
careful what you wish for.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
That's right. I saw a reference to the red shirts, all the survivors in the background,
Right,
Yeah.
the red
making
shirts.
torches and
Yeah.
The Steves and the Scotts of the world.
yeah.
Flashback number 3. It is 80 days ago, and Paulo is looking at a newspaper article on Suckerman's death. He and Nikki are sitting in the Sydney airport, and he reads, English expat Howard L. Zuckerman, the creative force behind such hit shows as Exposé, Strike Team Alpha, and Dr. Kincaid Esquire was found dead in his palatial Sydney estate from heart failure. This doctor, I want to know about Dr. Kincaid Esquire because
sounds.
So he's a doctor and a lawyer?
Yeah.
Is he like a Doctor Who type who just goes to court on different planets?
No.
Maybe. I've watched that show.
So the two of them laugh and they kiss, and then she notices that he's chewing gum, and he shows her the nicotine gum he has in his bag next to the Russian doll. They cheers a pair of champagne glasses to their new life together. Behind them, we see Shannon and Booth, and she is bitching at him because there's no place to sit and wait. He screwed them out of first class. Now they have nowhere to sit. So, yeah, Boone tries to borrow a chair from Nikki and Paulo, but Shannon just starts bitching that she wants to leave. So she tells him to quit flirting with random guys as they walk away.
What?
Shannon is on a fucking crusade in this airport. I don't know if you guys remember the season 1 finale flashback, but she almost got Saeed arrested for terrorism and everything. Like she is just doing damage left and right here.
Yeah.
To prove to Boone like that she could be that evil. She just does that. Yeah.
This might be her worst day.
Well, to be fair to her in that particular scene, Saeed should never, this was post 9/11 and he's going to ask a random stranger to watch his bag and he's Iraqi. That was not smart of him.
And the PA always tells you at the airport, don't watch other people's luggage or leave it unattended.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. He definitely shouldn't have done that.
There's no parking in the white zone.
He doesn't deserve like the wrath of the spoiled bitch Shannon.
No, he doesn't.
No.
And I think we can all agree that Lucia did the world a favor.
Christy defending Shannon. Wow.
By the end of Shannon's time on the show, I liked her.
Yeah, I was the only one that was happy she died. The rest of you,
I was happy she died. I wanted the Saeed of old.
Saeed was too distracted. Yeah,
he was too distracted. He was too useless when he was getting pussy.
You said he was. You said he was cunt struck.
He was cunt struck.
Oh my God.
That's exactly right.
That's how my dad described me with my teenage girlfriend.
Really?
That's funny.
There's a little insight into my traumatic upbringing.
Oh my God, that's great.
That's amazing.
All right, Christy.
Oh, so this wasn't recently.
Oh.
He was in high school like a couple years ago, right?
Doesn't feel like a couple of years.
Yeah. All right, Christy, keep us on track, damn it.
So Shannon is still bitching as they walk away. And then, assuming that they're a couple, Nikki says, promise me that we'll never end up like them. So he promises and they kiss again.
Oh.
And over the airport PA, we hear a voice saying, paging Captain Stewart. Please pick up the courtesy call, Captain Stewart. Sorry, that's my airport announcer voice.
Airport,
Yeah.
Is it Captain Patrick Stewart?
That's what I was thinking.
I think it's time for another career move, Christy.
Thank you. So we're still in the flashback, but time has moved forward a little bit. We've got Shannon screaming like a maniac on the beach because this is post-crash now. And she's screaming, Boone, Boone. Nikki rushes past her, seeing Jack with Claire and Boone with Rose. She sees Locke carrying a man. He yells to Gary to get away from the turbine and then says the same to Nikki. And then Gary goes through the turbine.
Yep.
Nikki is screaming.
Second best scene of the episode.
Yeah, that was pretty great. So Nikki's screaming for Paulo. She turns a man over and it's Dr. Arzt.
My man.
I was so happy to see him show up again.
I love him. I think he's great. The actor who plays him is fantastic. He's just so annoying in such a charming way. I think he's great.
I do love that he says, "Are we alive?"
Yeah, are we alive? Did we survive? Okay. This is great. Boone runs up to Nikki asking if she has a pen.
Yes.
Love this callback.
Oh. So Nikki finally finds Paulo. She asks him if he's okay. And then she's like, baby, look at me. Where's the bag?
Oh my God.
He's like, what? She repeats herself and says, the bag, Paulo, where is it? And he just stares at her in shock. I mean, they just survived
the
fucking
plane crash.
I know.
Jesus.
Oh my God.
And she's worried about that bag.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous.
I kind of find it like strange that she was going to let him carry those anyway. Like, why would it be like she's already obviously after these diamonds? Why would she be allowing him to carry them around?
Well, I don't know that she did. I mean, the bag, I think it was just with them on the plane.
Yeah.
Maybe she was just
put it in
trying
her
to
purse?
lull him into a false sense of security before she stole the diamonds and then left.
Same. Yeah, I'll buy that. I'll buy that.
Yeah.
Those diamonds had to have gone up one of their asses, right? It was in their luggage.
One would think.
The what?
The ass diamonds. That's what they are.
So we're back in the now, and Sawyer, Hurley, and Jin are looking for Paulo by following his footsteps because they're all trackers now.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Ah!
They go directly
Leveled
to
up.
his body, and Sawyer says, "I'm guessing that's Paulo."
Oh boy.
So once again, they inspect the body and they find no wounds, just like Nikki. Jin says something in Korean, and Hurley goes, "Yeah, I know."
Oh my God.
So Hurley
I'm
speaks
telling you,
Korean.
They're starting to. He's like Stewie on Family Guy. Like they can just
Yeah,
suddenly
yeah,
understand
exactly.
him even when they're not supposed to. Or
Yeah.
like Scooby and Scooby Doo. Like they just understand him.
Maybe Hardy has some residual Korean from his dream in the hatch that one time where
Oh,
he
yeah.
started
Oh,
speaking
yeah.
Korean to Jin.
Yeah. Cluck, cluck.
So they notice that Paulo's pants are undone and his shoe is in a tree.
Sounds like a
Sawyer
party.
glances out into the jungle for a moment. Jin pulls a water bottle out of Paulo's pack and uncaps it, and Sawyer yells, "No!" and grabs it and pours out all the water. He's like, 2 people are dead. They might have been poisoned. Hurley tells him that was evidence, and Sawyer's
my God.
messing with a crime scene.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my God.
Sawyer's asking about where the forensics hatch is when Jin yells, "Stop! Monster!"
Monster.
So flashback number 4. 75 days ago, on the island at night, Nikki and Paulo are looking through some unclaimed luggage. She's like, "How many times do I have to tell you? There's no such thing as monsters." Paulo wonders if maybe it's a dinosaur.
Definitely.
Good guess.
Yeah. She's annoyed that he's not focused on finding their bag. She's like, "Look, we've been here 6 days. The Coast Guard is going to arrive any second."
Coast Guard.
Coast Guard. Yeah. Like, Coast Guard of what country is going to
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Imagine the American Coast Guard. Fancy meeting you here.
Seriously.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We often float around the fucking South Pacific.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Makes a lot of
exactly.
sense, Nikki.
It was just
you
some
dumb
Coast
hoe.
Guard guy trying to like quit his job and abandon his life. And he's like,
Yeah, right.
God damn
He
it, you
runs
just,
into
just
that.
can't get away from this fucking job.
So Ethan shows up. He's talking about how he lost his luggage too, but he found some stuff if they need anything. The
So
3 of them
creepy.
exchange names. Oh yeah, he's creepy as fuck.
Ugh.
And Nikki says that they're looking for Paulo's nicotine gum.
He played a
Ethan-
pedophile on SVU. That fits.
That works.
Ethan's character.
Yeah.
Or Ethan's actor.
Mapother.
William Mapother,
Ah.
yeah. Tom
Yeah,
Cruise's
later.
cousin.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tom
Yeah.
Cruise's cousin. Exactly.
Yeah, so Ethan tells them, "Hey, the plane broke in 2. Your stuff might be further inland." There's a commotion, and Arzt is pissed that Boone took the water. So we're back in that part of the show.
Right.
A bunch of originals are there. They begin fighting. And then this is when Jack steps in to break up the fight and give his speech. Every man for himself is not going to work. If we can't live together, we're going to die alone.
Little flashback Jack hero
Yep.
porn.
It's
for
pretty
everyone.
good. You got to work on the heavy breathing a little bit, and then you are 100% Jack.
Okay, so back in the now, Sawyer, Jin, and Hurley carry Paulo's body back to the beach and put it with Nikki's. Hurley says, "I'm with Jin. It's the monster." And Sawyer says, "Yeah, because that makes the most sense." Hurley thinks it actually does, because when Echo died, he said, "You're next." And Nikki and Paulo were with him. Sawyer argues that what Echo meant is that they're all next. Hurley's like, "Yeah, that's not really better." Sawyer wants to find out whatever he can about the jabronis, Nikki, Nina, and Pablo.
Oh my
Nina.
God.
He asks where their tent is and say that they need some shovels. Flashback number 5. 57 days ago, Nikki's wearing white shorts because that's not going to get filthy on the island.
Jim's been,
cute,
her
though.
son's been doing it. She gardens in white pants constantly, and those are blinding white every time.
So she's got on her white shorts and her orange bikini top. She's bouncing her boobs on her way over to Art's tent.
Yay!
Yes, he is. He's pitching one.
Yeah. He's got all these bottles with insects inside them, and she asks him if he's a scientist. He annoyingly adds, and an educator.
Oh my God.
Thanks, Doctor.
Oh my God.
Doctor.
She asks about the bugs, and he tells her that he's discovered 20 new species, and he's going to be the next Charles Darwin.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
because he has a catalog of every fucking species in his head so that he knows he found a new one, I'm
Right.
sure. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Can I just ask, because you guys have been watching more recent episodes than me, like, does this have any precedent, or did they just introduce Arts collecting bugs in this episode?
I think
The
this
bugs
the only
part
time.
is new.
It's
Yeah.
new.
new.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It works for me. It's a good way to sort of naturally weave it in, because it's
Yeah.
it's in
It
character
makes
for him. But I was
sense.
just wondering.
It makes if anybody's gonna have a jar full of like poisonous bugs, it's gonna be
Yeah.
Arts.
Mhm.
So yeah.
As long as they're not dynamite.
And it gives him more of a purpose than just. And it gives his comeback more of a purpose than just a
Yeah.
cameo,
Yes.
nod of the head.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes.
Right.
So Nikki picks up one of the jars, and Art says, that is a Latrodectus regina. Very dangerous. They call her the Medusa spider. Her pheromones are very strong. One whiff and every male of the species would be here in seconds. Not unlike you, I guess.
Gross.
Now-
Yeah.
If
Gross.
it's new species, then how does he know?
How does he know? Yeah.
Right. what it does.
My guess was that one was not one of the new species, considering he had both the Latin name and another name for it. So
Yeah.
he found that amongst the other. These things aren't going to go towards him being the next Darwin. This is merely
Actually, what happened was he took her to the lab and he ran some tests and some experiments on her pheromones. And he just was publishing his research when he exploded.
It is interesting that it's the Medusa spider. He doesn't explain to her what that means, but
I looked it up, and it actually was made up specifically for this show.
really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
And that Latrodectus is part of the widow group of spiders.
Hey, guess
like the Black
what?
Widows.
Somebody
fun
might
fact.
have some fucking fun facts you're stepping all over.
Oh, yeah.
FYI. We're going to talk about dangerous spiders later in the episode.
Nice.
So Nikki tells Arts that she's looking for her luggage and wonders if he could help her figure out the trajectory of the back half of the plane.
So he's a physicist, too.
Yeah, apparently.
Exactly.
He gets all excited and he says, "Allow me to draw you a map, madame."
Uh-huh.
Oh,
God, madam.
Weird.
Okay.
So Nikki glances over and she sees Paulo watching them. The two of them are now trekking through the jungle using Art's map, and Paulo wonders if they should be listening to a high school teacher. Nikki refers to Arts as Leslie, and Paulo gets a little jelly.
He does.
Well, she's known to be with old men, so.
Yeah.
yeah.
Nikki jokes that she slept with him to get the map because his spiders turn her on.
Oh my God.
And then Paulo says, "I wouldn't be surprised. You slept with Zuckerman."
True.
I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I
but-
wouldn't say we slept.
Oh.
They probably weren't sleeping, yeah.
They both stop moving, and Nikki's like, "I did that for us. It was shitty of him to throw that in her face."
Yeah.
So he apologizes and says that he just doesn't trust Arst, which, whatever. And he says they should have gone with Ethan because, yeah, that's the better choice.
Right.
Definitely.
He's more
Safer.
trustworthy looking.
Yeah.
I want you to remember now that you said that it's shitty of him to throw that in her face. I just want to save that for later.
Okay.
Oh gosh.
Noted.
Ben thinks he's got something to say.
So they're still trekking through the jungle. They come upon Echo's heroin plane that's still up at the top. Nikki wants him to go climb up there and check for a radio, but he's like, "No, I'm not climbing up there. I'll make it fall." Then he
He's
finds
right.
the door to the Pearl.
Yeah.
Paulo wants to go inside, but Nikki says, Wow. So our carry-on bag fell from the sky, opened a manhole, crawled inside, and closed the doors behind itself. You don't want to climb up to a plane, but now you want to climb down a ladder into a dark tunnel? I don't think so. She shuts the door.
A bitch,
yeah,
that was funny. That was funny.
Yeah. So she shuts the door and they just walk off.
That's wild that they found the pearl like that early on and nobody else had any idea. And they said nothing.
Yeah.
It speaks to their sort of selfishness and tunnel vision, I guess, of like they only just care about their own shit, especially Nikki. Like they don't really care about anyone else.
No.
Yeah. Right.
We've got Sawyer rummaging through Nikki and Paulo's tent because, that's what he does.
He's getting some shit for himself.
Yeah. Charlie comes up to them to let them know that Son checked the food and nobody else is sick. He wonders if maybe it's a virus. And Hurley says, dude, monster. And then he notices the jars with the bugs. Charlie says these belong to Arts before he exploded.
So, sorry, is it implied here that Nikki and Paulo just moved into his tent?
No, it's their own tent.
Oh, well, okay. So they took the bugs from Art's tent.
Yeah, I guess it's like that she adopted the bugs after he died, maybe?
Yeah. Okay.
It's weird that the bugs are still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In these jars. Yeah.
A little bit
more. Like out there catching mosquitoes and feeding them? Like, or
bugs can go quite a while without eating, though, right? Most of them.
Yeah.
I guess so. I don't know.
Maybe not.
So Charlie finds a script for expose. Sawyer doesn't know what it is, but a very excited Hurley explains, it's only the most awesome hour of television ever. It's like Baywatch, only better. It's about Autumn and Crystal, two strippers that solve crimes with the help of their suave, smooth-talking club owner, Mr. Lashade.
That sounds awesome.
To me.
Hurley figures that expose must have been Nikki's big break, and then he says, no way! Mr. Lashade was the Cobra? He tells everyone that the Cobra's identity has been shrouded in mystery for 4 seasons.
Who gives a shit?
Right. Nobody really cares. And then Sawyer finds a walkie-talkie in Paulo's luggage.
The whole shrouded in mystery for 4 seasons has to be a little nod by the writers as well, right? About people being frustrated with the lost mysteries.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, that's funny.
So when Sawyer finds the walkie-talkie, he says that every one of those bastards on the other side of the island had one of these. So he thinks that Nikki and Paulo were working with the others.
Mm-hmm.
Flashback number 6, 48 days ago. Shannon and Art start arguing with Kate when Nikki and Paulo approach. Shannon wants to know what Kate thinks gives her the right. Kate tells her that the decision was best for everybody, and Art says, I'm sorry, you, my mother? Because she knows what's best for me.
Oh, boy.
Other than that, I decide.
Other than that.
Blow up already.
He's a mama's boy. He probably lives in his mother's basement.
Oh, boy. Is Art an incel?
Yeah. Nikki and Paulo walk up to find out what happened, and Shannon says that Kate and her 2 boyfriends found a case full of guns and didn't tell anyone.
Her 2 boyfriends?
2 boyfriends?
Yeah. Kate tells them that the case is locked and the key is around Jack's neck. Art's is pissed and starts quoting Animal Farm by George Orwell. The pigs are walking, huh? The pigs are walking.
I do like him for quoting Orwell.
Yeah,
that went completely over my head, but yeah, that makes sense.
Animal Farm was one of my favorite books in like high school.
Yeah, I read it. I just completely missed the reference. Wow.
It's the only book I think that pigs walk in. It's cornered that market.
Nikki turns to Kate and asks, so, where did you say you found that case?
Of course.
Oh, boy.
Yep. So now we're at the waterfall, and Nikki is trying to convince Paulo to dive in and look for their luggage. She says that he owes her for throwing Zuck in her face. He wonders if she didn't need him to find the bag if they'd even still be a couple.
True.
And she says that bag is worth $8 million. Just dive in, Paulo.
She knows the value of a pile of diamonds.
The thing is, it's only worth $8 million if you have a fence. And I was like,
right.
Come on.
There's probably not one on the island.
Does anyone else start to feel a little bad for Paulo here? I mean, he's kind of a sweet boy at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, he's in an abusive relationship with a raging bitch.
Yep.
No, I mean, they're both scheming murderers, so fuck him.
Yeah, I'm with Ben.
Yeah, I don't feel bad for him. And I mean, he's weaker than she is. That's his only issue.
That's the difference, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. He did murder somebody. But like a good like eighth of the cast is a murderer.
Yeah, true. And if I was going to murder anyone, well, actually, I guess I get to decide who I get to murder at the end of
You
this.
do, yeah.
I know. It's not Howie Zuck, but
Yeah.
I could sympathize with someone wanting to murder him.
Yes.
Can we stick with Con Seannery? I actually really prefer that.
Yeah, not bad.
Yes, Con Seannery.
Call Con.
Yes.
Sorry, Con Seannery.
Yes,
All
call me
right,
by my
so-
name.
Nikki just yelled at him to dive in, and Paulo dives in. He finds the bag, but he leaves it there. He comes up to the surface and he lies to Nikki, saying there were only dead bodies down there. So Nikki just walks away in a huff, and Paulo dives underwater again.
Okay, excuse me, but if the diamonds are so fucking important to you, then get your little princess ass in there under the water and look for them
agreed.
yourself.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
Dumbass.
can she not swim? What the hell?
She's just a bitch.
Can I ask, and I'm genuinely wondering this, would the presence of dead bodies in that lagoon, would that like infect the water at all? Or
Probably.
Yeah,
foul
I
the
was always
water.
thinking
Yeah.
like,
Nasty.
let me open, like if a dog licks your eye, you're going to get an infection. So my guess is that swimming in a place with rotting flesh is probably going to be bad for,
probably not great.
pores and
I don't know if
membranes.
there's enough water flow in and out of it that it doesn't really matter. Or
I don't think it's gonna like seep in through your skin though. As long as you're not drinking the water, I doubt it would be
Yeah.
toxic.
But you
enough
open
to
your
just be like-
eyes.
You open your
Yeah,
eyes
they're open
underwater.
Yeah,
your
that's
eyes.
true. That's
So,
a membrane
Pink
that would
eye,
absorb
yeast
pretty quickly.
infections.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Okay.
Pink eye.
All right. Well, I would get a yeast infection for $8 million.
Hey.
I'm just throwing that out there
Amen,
if anybody
sister.
has an offer like that. I would do that. All right. Go ahead, Christy.
So standing over their bodies, Hurley wonders how long they had been helping the others. Sawyer says, like Michael. Sawyer thinks that the others could be nearby. Hurley doubts it, but then Sun reminds him that somebody dragged her into the jungle and nearly killed her once. Charlie and Sawyer glance at each other, and Sawyer tells everyone to stay there. He pulls out his gun and goes to do a perimeter sweep.
I love this. I laughed out loud when he said it and then laughed even more when Hurley called bullshit on it.
Yeah.
He's like, what the fuck is a perimeter sweep?
Yeah. Hurley asks Charlie what a perimeter sweep is, and Charlie doesn't know, but he does suggest covering up the bodies. Flashback number 7. It's 32 days ago and it's nighttime, and Paulo is on the beach digging through his carry-on bag that he found in the waterfall. He opens and chews some nicotine gum before starting to bury the doll. Locke approaches and surprises him. Lock in the
Shocker.
box.
Yep, shocker.
Boing.
He calls Paulo by name and tells him everybody's entitled to their secrets, but he suggests not burying them there. He says things don't stay buried on this island.
Ooh.
Then he explains that the beach is eroding and high tide is coming. So Paulo needs to find a place that won't wash away.
Do you guys think that's foreshadowing the upcoming Nikki and Paulo zombie episode? Sorry, Derek. I didn't mean to spoil.
Yeah, you're supposed to earmuff him.
I think, honestly, given the number of bodies they put in shallow graves in the sand already, it's kind of rich that that Locke is telling him not to bury things there.
Right.
I know.
Is
I was
rife.
blown away by that too. So
That
anyway.
is rife for a zombie apocalypse, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Locke says that he'll see Paulo back at camp and leaves him there staring at the doll. Paulo is now back at the Pearl. He opens the hatch and enters using a flashlight. He finds the bathroom and hides the doll in the plumbing at the back of the toilet. Before he can leave, he hears voices. Ben asks who left the hatch opened, and Juliet tells him that Tom was down there a couple of days ago. They turn on one of the monitors in the room and they watch Jack and the Swan. Juliet says he's cute, but that he'll never agree to do the surgery. And Ben says that he'll convince Jack by finding out what he's emotionally invested in, and then exploiting it, just
Hell
like he
yeah.
does with everything else.
Okay, sorry, can I interject there? Because I didn't remember this at all. So that is footage of him in the Swan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and the characters learned at some point that there were cameras in the Swan and that they could be
They
watching
know
here.
in real time, but this is Paulo finding out before anyone else knew and not saying anything.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Gotcha.
so in
Okay.
real time they've been there. And there is another scene, right, where he comes out from the toilet. That's when they discover it.
I remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Okay. Because I was
Yeah.
confused. I thought it was Jack in the Hydra at first, but then the way Ben and Juliet were talking, I was like, okay, well, that obviously hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Also, can I just say that the crispness of that picture of Jack on that screen for this fucking
Right.
1970s technology.
Yes.
Yeah.
HD quality.
It's like more HD than was available in 2005.
Yeah.
It's Magic Hatch. It's Dharma Initiative.
4K.
They're ahead of their time.
Yeah.
So Juliet asks if they're going to kidnap Jack, Ford, and Austin. Ben says no, they need to come to us, and he's going to use Michael to do it. Juliet says that the Pearl is creepy and she wants to leave. After they go, Paulo sneaks back out of the bathroom and he finds the walkie-talkie on the table. Now back in real time, Hurley runs up to Desmond to ask him if he knows anything about the deaths of Nikki and Paulo. And Desmond's like, I just get flashes of stuff. It doesn't work that way. Hurley says, no offense, dude, but as far as superpowers go, yours is kind of lame. Thanks anyway.
Okay.
Desmond tells him that he did see Nikki yelling at Sawyer this morning right before she died. So down the beach where the bodies are, Vincent yanks the covers off their bodies and Hurley yells, Vincent, dude. Charlie says Nikki fighting with Sawyer proves nothing.
Do you think
Hurley says-
Vincent's like trying to alert them there? Like these people are alive?
Yeah, that's what I had.
Yeah.
Vincent made my top 3 characters for that very reason. I was like, he was trying to warn them.
Vincent's like, hello. All right.
So Charlie says that Nikki fighting with Sawyer proves nothing. Hurley's suspicious of Sawyer's desire to investigate this after lying about knowing Nikki. And Sun says, Sawyer's not a murderer. He went all the way across the island to help Michael. It's the others. I know what they can do.
Oh,
Hurley
boy.
says that he's going to go get Desmond so he can tell them himself what he saw. He leaves and Charlie says, it was me. Sun is clearly confused and Charlie confesses that it was he who attacked her. It was after Locke had hit him and humiliated him. Sawyer said that he could get even with Locke by kidnapping her and blaming the others. Without a word, Sun turns around with a tear in her eye and just walks away, while Charlie mutters, sorry.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I give Charlie points for coming clean.
Yeah, this is like the beginning of his redemption, I think.
Yeah, I was impressed.
Flashback number 8. Now we're only 9 days ago. Locke, Saeed, and Desmond approach a group of the survivors, including Nikki and Paulo. And he tells them that they're heading out to the Pearl Station if anybody wants to go. Nikki volunteers and Paulo's annoyed, so she says, you always whine about not being included. Now's our chance. We've seen this, this in another episode. So inside the Pearl, the group is trying to fix the monitors when Paulo goes into the bathroom to retrieve the doll, which I don't understand why he would retrieve it at this point. Just leave it. It's a good hiding place,
Yeah. Maybe because they found the spot.
Yeah, and he was just like really concerned, I guess, that Nikki finally came back here, and so she, I don't know.
That's true. Like Nikki's close to the diamond, so he's nervous and
I think
wants
he just
to move
got
him.
he just got camera or like stage fright about it, right? He's like, this is too close for call. I need them on my person from now on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the Pearl orientation video is replaying with Nikki pointing out the pluralized form projects.
She's saying that in the orientation video, they mention projects with an S, as in,
Oh, so the project.
and they hadn't noticed that before.
Okay. Paulo retrieves the bag of diamonds, flushes the toilet, and goes back into the main room. The rest of them turn around from the sound of the toilet, and Paulo announces, the Toilet still works.
Hoo.
Does the sink? Because I didn't hear you wash your hands, you dirty
That's
shit.
right.
Gross, Paulo. And that's why we call you Poop Stick.
Poops. Yep, Paulo.
So the group is digging graves for Nikki and Paulo, and I'm wondering where the fuck they got all these shovels. That's a lot of shovels that they have.
Yes. A lot of shovels, a lot of torches, a lot of
no shoes.
Yeah. And again, they're digging graves on the beach.
That's eroding.
Yeah.
That's eroding. Yeah.
Hurley demands Sawyer give him the gun. Sawyer pulls out the clip and shows him it's not even loaded. So Hurley says that Desmond saw him fighting with Nikki, and Sawyer replies, "Oh, I see what this is. Villagers have got themselves some torches."
Torches.
Here we go again.
Yep. He says that he and Nikki were fighting this morning because she wanted him to give her a gun. Sawyer then mentions the dirt under her nails, explaining that she was digging just before she died, and there was another mound of dirt near Paulo. He says, and if you take the time to dig a hole right before you die, then what you're hiding is probably damn good.
Razzle-Dazzle.
Razzle frickin' dazzle.
Son asks what it was that Nikki had been hiding, and Sawyer tosses her the pouch filled with diamonds. Sawyer says they can have the diamonds, and he had nothing to do with whatever happened to those two, and then he walks away. 12 hours ago in this flashback number 9, Nikki's sitting on the beach when Paulo joins her, and Nikki's just lamenting that 2 weeks ago it was Thanksgiving and they missed it. Like Paulo even really celebrates Thanksgiving. He's Brazilian.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
Well, I mean, if you live in the United States, then maybe you would.
Yes, but he was the Wolfgang Puck of Brazil. Don't forget that.
Dave, you have moved from Stockholm, right, to Toronto.
Yeah. I'm in Toronto.
And you've lived in Canada before. Do you celebrate their Thanksgiving? It's in October. Ours is in November.
I do the Canadian Thanksgiving thing. I've got some family here, so but I don't think it exists outside of Canada or the United States.
No, I think we're the only 2 countries that have it. Yeah, one in October and one in November. And that's when we pretend that we didn't commit genocide against the indigenous peoples.
That's the one.
It's a real special day. Great food, though.
Yeah.
So
I can only stand turkey once a day or once a year.
Yeah, right. So he could have done that. I think turkey's actually the worst part about it. I'm all about the dressing.
The sides,
the side dishes.
Yeah, it's all about the carbs on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, Christy.
So,
Get us to the end of this fucking episode.
She's like, we miss Thanksgiving and we're going to miss everything. He says that they'll eventually be rescued, and maybe not finding the bag is a good thing for them. He says it might have torn them apart. They both smile and agree. And Paulo says that he's going to go get some breakfast and bring it back. As he leaves, Nikki glances at the sand and notices the nicotine gum package.
Now, come the fuck on. You seriously, she's going to sit in the exact spot that shit falls out of his pocket?
Yep.
Or did it fall out just then when he got up? Or how is he this careless? My God, Paulo.
I could believe it. What I want to know is, do you think that Nikki was genuinely ready to just give it up there? Do you know what I mean?
No.
It wouldn't be consistent with her character, right? I get.
That's why I went. Yeah, right.
If it is true, it is somewhat redemptive for her, like that she really does care about Paulo. But
no redemption.
Press X to doubt.
Yeah. No, don't think so.
So now we come to the scene where Nikki is demanding a gun from Sawyer. And Sawyer says the A-team took them all. And even if they didn't, the fire you're breathing would prevent me from giving you one anyway. He tells her to go stick her head in the ocean and cool off. Across the beach, Desmond is watching them argue. And Nikki says, thanks for nothing, and leaves. Sawyer shouts after her, and who the hell are you?
which is actually a great sort of getting Sawyer off the hook, because her, in the start of the episode when he goes, who the hell's Nikki? And he didn't know her name and everything. Hurley sort of used that as not he used it, but that to Hurley was like a sign of Sawyer's suspicion.
That made him suspicious.
Yeah, Hurley thought that Sawyer was pretending, but he really didn't know.
Right.
He doesn't care.
So now we're back at the bodies, and Sawyer, shirtless and all coconut oiled up.
Goddamn.
Yeah, he was. You got to be
closes-
oiled up to dig graves. It's just like
Yeah.
the rule on the island.
Yeah. He closes her eyes and he whispers, "Thanks for nothing." So as he's digging the grave, Son approaches him and tells him that Charlie spilled the beans on the kidnapping. Sawyer wants to know if she's going to tell Jin, and she says no, because then we'd have to dig another grave.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, she's right. Jin would fuck him up.
Yep.
Love that line.
Wee.
Yep.
She throws him the diamonds and calls them worthless here and then slaps him across the face.
Damn
I
right.
mean,
Pretty good
easy,
slap.
easy for her to do that. Her family owns a chain of like multi-million-dollar hotels.
Yeah,
She's
very
not going to be
true.
wanting if she gets
Yeah.
off the island.
Yep.
So they've now got Nikki and Paulo down in the grave. A small group has gathered for the funeral, Hurley's giving the eulogy. Nikki and Paulo, I guess we didn't really know you very well, and it appears you killed each other for diamonds.
Oh, boy.
But I know there are good parts to you, too. You were always nice to me, and you're a member of the camp, and I really loved Expose.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
Hurley.
Okay, then. Goodbye.
All-time
Yes.
great eulogy.
Oh,
Sawyer
boy.
pours the diamonds into his hands, and then he throws them all over the bodies, and he says, "Rest in peace, Nikki and Paulo."
Got their names right.
Yeah, at least there was that.
He knows who they are now.
That's if that ain't a fitting tribute. He'd
Mhm.
remembered their name.
Flashback number 10. It's 8 hours ago. Nikki's leading Paulo through the jungle, and she tells them there's a surprise ahead. And then she says that she found the diamonds. Paulo's very confused, and he asks her where. And she says, "Right here. Give them to me." He tries to play dumb, but she pulls out the gum and says that she knows that he found them. Paulo tells her to calm down, and she's unscrewing the lid to a glass bottle with a spider inside. He says, "What the hell is that?"
That's a
She-
psycho bitch. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's fucking crazy.
The
She
hell are you
opens the
doing?
bottle and throws the spider at Paulo. The spider bites him, and he asks her if she's crazy, out of her mind. She's
Now,
like,
two
"You
things I want to
remember-"
interject here. One, now that is a shitty thing to throw in somebody's face.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Ah.
Two, it's a fairly desperate measure when the idea of launching a spider at somebody as a weapon, like the chances
seen
one
that
that
used
the
as a
spider
weapon.
is going to land on a piece of skin that they would actually be able to bite and all that. Like this is a very
Well, not only does that
this is
happen,
so
but it gets him right in
stupid.
the neck.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It goes
But-
right to the jugular.
But that's less the thing than he slaps at the spider, squishes it,
The
and
pheromones
even if he
whatnot.
hadn't done that, the spider's pheromones attract all the males.
Right.
Yeah.
Ah.
Brings all the
So-
boys to the yard. That's
Yeah.
what it is. My spider pheromones.
So Nikki says, "You remember Dr. Art's friend. Did it bite you? Does it hurt? He told me why they call it the Medusa spider. Want to know why?"
So that you can monologue about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Paulo begins to shake and he grabs her, and she continues. "Because one look from Medusa will turn anyone to stone, just like
Oh.
one bite from the spider will paralyze you for about 8 hours. It won't kill you. It'll just slow your heart rate down to the point where even a doctor would have a hard time hearing a heartbeat." Paulo then falls to the ground. She continues, "You won't be able to move a muscle, so I'll be able to do all sorts of nasty things to you. And since
Now-
it bit you
Wait,
on-
what? Wait, what?
Yeah,
Yeah,
what?
that's
Yeah.
like kinky.
Why did
And-
this turn like sadistic and like what the hell, lady?
Yeah,
he's,
like-
he's gonna turn hard as stone. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be 8 hours too. Holy crap.
oh yeah,
Did she mean that she was going to do mean things to him or that she was going to do like sexual things to him? I don't know. I cannot tell from her tone.
Me neither.
No, I
That's what
can't
I said.
either.
That sounds kinky.
I can't
Maybe
imagine
both.
I can't imagine he had been withholding with sexual favors before. So-
Yeah, it's
No.
true.
Yeah.
Although maybe she's
Wow.
just got a paralyzation kink, that she's
Yeah,
never got
that's
to
true.
explore before.
Full control.
Oh my god. All right. Well, so
Yeah.
back to Nikki, the fucking rapist.
yeah. Nikki's still giving her monologue, and she says, "And since it bit you on the neck, I'd say paralysis will happen fast. And I'm
Okay,
guessing that you
Dr.
have
Nikki.
the diamonds on you."
Yep, Dr. Nikki.
Yep. So she searches his frozen body, nothing in the shoe, so she throws that in a tree, and then she undoes his belt and zipper.
Uh-huh.
She reaches in and finds the diamonds in his sack. He, can still kind of talk a little bit. He says he's sorry, and he was only afraid that once she had them, she wouldn't need him anymore.
He was right.
Yep. She says that he's only sorry because he got caught.
True.
They pause for a moment as if they sense something coming, and then Nikki looks around and sees a bunch of the male Medusa spiders coming in. Now that
you're not going to be able to see those.
Yeah.
Also,
they're spiders.
She
They're
didn't
little.
need to stay there and be fucking dramatic about the whole thing in monologue. She should have known the spiders were coming. Like, why is she that dumb?
Well, okay. I think it's also worth pointing out here that we do hear the monster noise a little bit. Like
Yes.
And suddenly these spiders come out of nowhere. I think this is sort of like implying that the island is passing judgment on them here. That the monsters sort of made this happen. You know what I mean? Like it's...
I do now. I didn't hear the noise. Did the rest of you hear the monster noise?
Yeah. That's why they pause for a moment because they're like,
looking around, and then it's a really creepy, great shot. All the spiders suddenly coming out of nowhere. I really liked it. I thought the tension of the scene was awesome.
Well, I stupidly missed all of that, and but all right, yeah. So the monster came by and was like, "You are
focused on Paulo's sack."
All right,
and Dave just got deep there,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, giggity!
Yeah. How I do.
Oh.
So anyway, one of the spiders crawls onto Nikki's leg. She shakes it off, but it bit her first. She goes tearing through the jungle, buries the diamonds, arrives at the beach to find Sawyer and Hurley, collapses face down. They turn her over, and Hurley asks her what happened, and she says, "Paralyzed."
Oops.
We may get to this in your spider things later, but aren't the females typically the ones that are the really venomous ones? At least in that family, like with Black Widows, I thought the female Black Widows...
Yeah, they killed them. Well, I'm sure she's going to talk about that in her...
Well, no, this is a make-believe spider. So we can make believe that the male spiders also are venomous.
There you go. No, I don't have any facts about what gender spider has the most poison. I just have facts about which spiders are the most venomous.
Okay. We'll just use they then for these spiders then.
They, them.
Non-binary spiders.
Do you guys know the difference
non-binary.
between venomous and poisonous?
I don't think so.
For something to be poisonous, it means you bite it. For something to be venomous, it means it bites you.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice. So wait. So if I was to bite a venomous spider, would I get poisoned?
You'd poison yourself.
Well, hey now.
Only one way to find out, and I'm going to do it live on the air, folks.
I don't have the answer to your riddles.
All right, I'm going to push through. We're almost done with this show. So
30 seconds left in the episode.
Razzle-Dazzle.
Razzle-Dazzle. The final scene of the episode, we've got Sawyer and Hurley shoveling sand over the diamonds and the paralyzed pair. The crowd disperses while Sawyer and Hurley finish the burial, and for just a brief second, we see Nikki's eyes fly open just before they're both buried alive. Lost title screen and shitty episode. Razzle frickin' dazzle.
Frickin' dazzle.
Thank God. God, what a horrible episode.
Now you understand why we hated it so much.
God, that's
I am excited for final thoughts.
We tried to warn you.
Yes.
I'm excited to come to this episode's defense.
What?
We're going to have counterpoint. Okay, so the cat is out of the bag on the fun facts this week. They are about dangerous spiders. So as we covered, there is no such thing as the Medusa spider. The Lactodectus, that family name, what Derek was saying earlier, would indicate that Dr. Arts was saying the Medusa spider was part of the widow family. I'm going to talk about families of spiders until the last couple.
Maybe the spider just hadn't been discovered yet.
That could be it.
It's true.
It sounds very believable. Like you had to think they got some kind of spider expert consultant on this episode, right? Because it's a very believable.
But that's why I looked it up, because I was like, really? There is something? Because I thought maybe in Australia, because they got that funnel web spider, which is crazy. So
Everything in Australia is trying to kill you. Everything.
Exactly.
The funnel webs are on my list. The first I have are the recluses. Here in North America, we
brown
are
recluse,
aware,
yeah.
of the brown recluse. You identify it because it has like a fiddle on it. The most dangerous of the recluses is actually the Chilean. The venom of this family of spiders contains what's called a dermonecrotic agent, so it can cause lesions by basically just killing
the skin.
killing your skin. Yeah, causing necrosis. So it also can cause systemic conditions, sometimes resulting in renal failure and or death. So this is if the venom gets into your bloodstream. So the widows is another family that includes the black that we know here in North America. And there's also brown widows and red-legged. There is no Medusa widow. The red-legged is the most venomous of all of the widows. Before the invention of an anti-venom, 5% of all bites resulted in death. Now it's very rare that a widow...
but I heard it's excruciatingly painful.
Exactly. So it causes intense pain. What it does is it causes all of your muscles to become rigid. And you have a hard time moving or flexing or getting any sort of relief. It also comes with malaise, sweating, nausea, vomiting, hypertension. It can temporarily cause spinal or cerebral paralysis, but that definitely resolves. I don't know about any 8 hours, or you can't tell the difference. None of that is true.
Anything more than 4 hours, seek medical attention.
I can see why they put the fake spider in this family, because
You're saying that these motherfuckers are in North America?
Yeah, black widows. Yeah.
Okay.
Black widows, I've seen them.
Yeah.
As a
I see
You
them all
find
the
them
time.
mostly like dark places. They love to be in wood piles. Like if you have a wood stove,
that's
you'll
right.
have black
Okay.
widows that'll
They have a
live.
messy web. Very
So
messy.
as a recent retransplant to North America, I need to know this. Like,
Yeah,
can
check that out.
do they ever show up in your house?
Not
Yes.
really.
No.
Yeah.
Rarely.
Because
Sometimes.
sometimes they'll come in on your
In a
produce.
wood pile.
Oh my
Oh,
god!
on your produce.
And what? So will they only bite you if you agitate them, or
Yeah, they're very shy, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
They
They're
don't
not
come
gonna-
after you.
Or if a woman throws one at your face, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. There
lands
is an
on your
aggressive spider on this list. We'll get to it shortly.
Because I live in a basement apartment and it is lousy with spiders.
There's one right behind you.
The funnel web spiders. This is the one Derek
That's a mean
mentioned.
motherfucker.
They are found only in Australia. The two most vicious are the northern and the Sydney. They are one of the most feared of the venomous animals down under. They can be very aggressive when provoked. The venom contains a compound known
You
as...
only got 6 legs. Like, how do you provoke them?
You disturb their habitat, I guess. So it contains a compound known as atracotoxin, which is an ion channel inhibitor. These
nice.
spiders will not only deliver a full envenomation when they bite, but they often strike repeatedly and are pretty vicious. The venom from a funnel web spider species, any of them, can kill a human within minutes if no anti-venom is available.
Jesus.
So
I'll fight
that's in
one of those
Australia, Dave. Don't.
Yeah, those are
freak out.
brutal.
Yeah. Then there are 2 left that it's not a family spider. The six-eyed sand spider is actually a cousin of the recluses, but they're found in sandy places like in southern Africa. There are only 2 confirmed bites ever of a human, so the risk factor is way down with these. But in studies of their venom, they found it's particularly potent. And what it does is it causes your blood vessels to leak, and it thins your blood, and you basically just bleed out and bleed to death if they were to get you. Yeah. So the Brazilian wandering spider. This is thought to be the most neurologically active venom of all spiders on the planet. It is regarded as the most dangerous spider in the world. High levels of serotonin contained in the venom will deliver an incredibly painful bite that results in muscle shock. Occasional deaths from this spider's venom have happened even after being given the anti-venom.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, so it
And-
spikes your serotonin? Isn't that what Molly does?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you go out feeling all right. I don't know.
Yeah, seriously.
It doesn't sound like it, but
When I look these up, though, the Brazilian wandering spider is actually quite freakish looking, and I'm gonna drop a picture in the next week's pre-show, so get ready for that.
please do. And hey, if you're ever in Brazil and you're looking to party and you can't get your hands on anything, just
Exactly.
find one of these
Yeah,
spiders.
Get some Brazilian wandering spider venom.
Well,
All
that
right,
thing is crazy looking. Holy crap.
let's do best and worst moments, Dave, and let's hear from you first.
Alrighty. My best moment, I love a good callback. It was Boone looking for a pen.
Yeah.
I actually thought in general that those scenes with the pilot sort of weaving in the new footage with the old were really seamless and worked really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were actually.
It didn't feel shoehorned or lame to me. Like even Jack giving his speech as well, I thought it felt perfectly natural, which I appreciated.
Yeah. Agreed.
Worst moment is Bulletproof Breast and the general age difference in that age inappropriate relationship. It made my skin crawl. Hated every second of it. Glad he's dead.
All right, Ben, how about you? What'd you think?
Well, my favorite scene was when she was just dancing around in her bedazzled bikini. You know, that's just good fun. My least favorite scene, I don't know. There's honestly there's so many. Probably her throwing a spider in Paulo's face.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Just
bad.
because like it's so completely unbelievable. One and two, it's like wow. Yeah, I'm glad they're dead.
My best and worst were the same scene. It was when they get buried alive because one, that's fucking great way to see those idiots go out. But also
one of the
two,
grimmest things to ever happen in Lost. Like
Yeah.
crazy
It's
dark.
out of nowhere, this
It's
like
true.
That was a
Awful.
horrific way to die.
yeah, awful fucking death. And that's why it's also my worst moment because that is one of my worst fears is being buried alive. I had a genuine panic attack when I saw Kill Bill Volume 2 in the theater and she gets buried alive. And I had to do like deep breathing because it was too much to watch it. Like
have you
that's
seen-
just one of my worst fears.
Have you seen the movie Buried, starring of all people Ryan Reynolds?
No.
No.
Should I not?
It's a 90-minute movie set in a coffin buried underground, and
Wow.
it is
Oh, God.
fucking great. Like it's a really, really good movie
I wouldn't be able to handle that.
for something so constrained. Like it's amazing. So the tension is awesome. I recommend it.
Okay. Well, I'll need to get some Xanax and then check it out.
Or some
Christy,
spiders.
What
Right.
about you? What'd you think best and worst?
Best moments, Charlie confessing to Sun that he's the one who took her, not the others. And then Sun slapping Sawyer. Worst moment, most of it. But again, being buried alive is one of my greatest fears.
Okay.
There's another movie. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but it's one of those like kidnapping movies. And the bad guy says to the good guy, you know, I'll show you exactly what happened to her. Like his girlfriend had been taken, and he's like, you'll go through, you know, everything that she went through. And the guy wakes up and he's buried alive in a coffin, and that's terrifying.
I can't. I don't want to be trapped somewhere and just go absolutely mad because I can't move. Oh no.
No,
I'm
what
being
would happen
traumatized
is you'd
right
panic,
now.
you'd breathe. Eventually, the air would get thinner and thinner. You'd start to get sleepy. It would actually be a fairly calm way to go once you the terror wore
The
off.
oxygen level drops.
Aren't
Yeah.
you inhaling sand, though?
Not with sand. No, you just suffocate.
Yeah. But I move and I twitch and I need space.
Yeah, I have to stretch too. Yeah,
Mhm.
same.
You know, it's not necessarily claustrophobia,
It's the constriction.
but I just need a little bit of space because physically I have to do all this weird shit.
Yeah, I don't even like being in a packed crowd, you know, where
Yeah.
you're shoulder to shoulder.
No. Has anybody watched the newer show on I think it's on FX, and it stars Michael.
Oh, is
It's
it
called
called From?
Yes.
I haven't seen it,
I
but
haven't seen it
I've heard
yet.
great things.
Yeah,
really,
I
really
heard it's pretty
enjoyed
good.
the first season. I don't know if the second season has started yet or where that is, but
Is it in a coffin? Does it take place in a coffin?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. But there is a scene that makes me feel like that, and
Like that? Okay.
just absolutely terrifying. So
Derek, did the did the buried alive scene make it into your best and worst or no?
Yes, it made it to my best moment. Nikki and Paulo getting buried alive. That was good. And in the past, though, or the flashbacks, I liked her in a Razzle-Dazzle bikini. And then the worst moment was the entire episode. But if I had to pick the worst of the worst, it'd be when she threw the spider. That was just so dumb.
It is. It is so dumb. All right. Let's do some rankings. Derek, keep going. Where'd you rank your players and who are you fucking and killing this week?
Best was Hurley. I just liked him through this whole episode. Second was Sawyer. And then third was Charlie. I put Charlie in there because, like Christy said, he's starting to kind of redeem himself by confessing to Son what he did.
Yeah, for sure.
And the worst is Paulo, and second worst is Nikki. I'm gonna fuck Juliet because I liked her in that scene in the hatch, and I'm gonna kill Doctor. And blow him up again.
Ours are similar. I had Hurley on top. I had Charlie as second over Sawyer as third because Charlie, I thought his redemption, I don't know, I just ranked it over whatever Sawyer was doing. I have Nikki and Paulo as my worst, and I have her ranked first because she, I get it, like they're both murderers, but she's just a really annoying bitch. And so I'm putting her at the top. I'm fucking oiled up Sawyer on a pile of diamonds. And I'm also going to kill Doctor because you can't just be leaving poisonous, dangerous spiders around in jars on the camp. Like, what are you doing? So that's my opinion.
He was probably
Dave,
expecting not to explode.
Right. Yeah, he didn't think he was going to blow up.
I guess so. But I'm still mad at him. Dave, did you come with some rankings, even though they don't technically add to the score?
Yeah, I understand that. That's why I try to keep mine unorthodox, like ones that I don't think other people will pick. Although, having said that, my number one is Sawyer. But my number 3 is Billy D. Williams, baby. Good to see him. It completely took me by surprise because I totally forgot.
Lando Calrissian.
Lando himself. Just an amazing addition to the show. Like an amazing small bit of world building where they can have this, he is the exact level of actor that would be in that kind of show in 2004.
Right. Oh, hell yeah.
I thought it was great. Very, very believable. My number 2, top 3 character. Number 2 is Vincent because he tried to warn them. He tried to save the most compassionate character in this episode. My number 1, like I said, is Sawyer because I just thought he was on top form in this episode. I loved his general nonchalance about Nikki and Paulo's deaths. So many times.
Who's Nikki?
Yeah, so many times Hurley called him out for his lack of sensitivity, and he never learned a thing. We had 3 all-time great Sawyer quotes, which are "Who the hell is Nikki?" "Forensics hatch," and "Perimeter sweep." Loved it all. He was just hilarious in this episode. My honorable mentions are Son and Charlie because I thought they both handled their situations really well. Charlie surprised me by owning up to his previous crimes, and I thought Son handled Sawyer really well. She wasn't irrational about it. She knew Jin would go off the handle, so she kept him out of it, but she gave him a good slap. My bottom 3 characters, at number 3, it's Shannon. Way to remind me why I'm glad you're dead.
Exactly.
Number 2 is Ben Linus. I kind of thought that the Ben Linus Juliet scene was the most superfluous scene in the entire episode. It didn't really matter. It felt shoehorned in. The walkie-talkie never really came back around to mean anything. That scene didn't work for me, and I thought Ben Linus just came across as a little rat in it. I hated it. And my least favorite character in the whole episode was Howard Howie Zuckerman, a.k.a. Con Seannery.
Con Seannery.
My fuck, and you guys are not going to like this, my fuck is Paulo because he's a very good-looking man. And guys, we love a simp, right? He would do anything for you.
I'm pretty sure the episode that you did in season 2, I think you fucked Sawyer too.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
You like to be
Too.
gay on this podcast, which is
I do.
weird because you're
I
not
do.
in real life.
No, but I like to take it from a sort of my fuck kills from a sort of neutral sexuality perspective.
I see.
Like
yeah.
like it's based
It's
on
Hollywood.
It's based on-
Everyone's gay once in a while.
it's really more based on vibes than actual attraction.
Okay. Got it.
Having said that, my kill is the same as everybody else so far. It's Leslie Arzt, mostly to save him from himself. I think I would
right.
I would be a lot more gentle than blowing him up with dynamite.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's painless.
True.
And it was also fun to watch.
Yes.
All right. Christy, how about you? What are your rankings?
I put Hurley in the top because, I just love Hurley. I put Charlie second because I like that he came clean to Sun. I don't know why I didn't put Sawyer in his third. I didn't put anybody in his third, but yeah, Sawyer would be third. Bottom, I only have two, Nikki first and then Paulo. I am fucking Lando Calrissian.
Of course.
Hey.
And I'm going to go a little different than all of you. I'm killing Ethan.
Oh, you
Oh.
do like to kill him when he pops up.
Yeah.
hmm
It's like whack-a-mole for
Yeah.
Christy. Every time Ethan also she smacks him back down.
Benjamin, why don't you give us yours and then also the updated totals?
Alrighty. Yeah, I've got, let's see, Hurley in first place and Sawyer in second. Sawyer mainly because, like, even with limited screen time, he was, like David said, there was a lot of good kind of zingers that he was throwing in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Charlie in third because he is starting to, make up for some of his previous trespasses. For worst, I've got Nikki because she's just an awful murderous cunt. Then Paulo, obviously, because he's a hot little simp, but also a murderous cunt. Then I've got Shannon coming back in for third worst. My fucking kill are going to be the same, and I have to tie these together because what I'm going to do is when everyone's asleep, I'm going to dig up Nikki.
Ew.
I'm gonna let my paralysis kink take over, and then when I'm done, I'm just gonna put the dirt back over her and let sleeping cunts lie.
What?
Razzle-Dazzle.
Yep.
Razzle-Dazzle. Wow,
Rape,
Ben, that's
rape,
dark.
You've inspired me with all of your. I'm going to have a threesome with with the sun god Ra on a pile of diamonds. Like you're getting increasingly ornate every time we do one of these. So I felt like I had to try to contribute.
All right. Thank you. What do the rankings look like after your disturbing fuck?
She was alive. I'd like to think she was willing to. I'd like to think she was willing.
Uh-huh.
I'm no Zuck, but hey.
Oh my god.
First place,
I always pretend they're willing as well when I force a character into it, like a threesome.
Exactly.
Yeah, I hope no one's
Alright.
having rape fantasies on this show.
So we have Sawyer in first place with 81 points. Hurley pulling into second place with 70
Woo!
points, displacing Juliet, who is now in third with 64. And we still have a two-way horse race between Ben and Desmond.
Well, Kate's
outside.
only 4 points behind them.
Yeah.
It's almost like a
That's true.
three-way down there. Hey
That's
now.
Hey now.
I like
The
that,
bottom of the barrel. The bottom of the barrel stays. Actually changes a little bit. We've got Danny still at 90 points. Paulo looks like he's peaking or hitting his nadir at negative 80, so it doesn't look like he's going to catch Danny. And Nikki at negative 37 points. So while Nikki was a far worse character and morally bankrupt and just awful in every way, she had less than half the points of Paulo. So we
got
really
mad at
hated Paulo.
More
early
entertaining
on.
to watch, I guess.
Well, when he was hitting the golf balls, we all got really mad at
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And
In the bathroom scene. Pool
Yeah.
still works.
And the poop stick scene.
Yeah,
Yep.
there's the poop
Yeah.
stick. Yeah,
poop stick happened. All right.
He doesn't
Guys.
wash his hands.
it's true.
Shall we do some final impressions?
Yes,
How about
let's.
Christy. What do you think, Christy?
One of the absolute worst episodes of the entire series.
Woo!
I will say I'm curious as to how they filmed this because, I mean, clearly Nikki and Paulo weren't around in season one. So I'm wondering, did they refilm
Yeah, it probably had
all of this stuff?
I think so.
Some of it.
They had a continuity team, I'm sure.
Yeah, I did a little bit of reading, and some of the footage from the pilot, the airplane crash, like the initial crash on the island, some of that in the newly filmed scenes was CGI, which I think is great because I didn't notice at all. I think it looks amazing.
I didn't either.
I didn't notice, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, clearly
A lot better CGI than the
smoke monster.
Polar bear.
The polar bear.
Polar bear.
I mean, clearly they refilmed, like they brought Boone and Shannon back so that they could film, the airport scene and stuff like that. But yeah, I didn't know about the CGI. I was very curious about how they did that. Sawyer did have some great stuff in here, who's Nikki, who's Paulo. Yeah. So I'm glad it's over. But yeah, this was the one that when Lacy said, "Hey, do you want to do this podcast?" I was like, "Yup," and I call that episode.
Definitely did. Yeah, my final impression too. Just dumb. I mean, some hilarious bits, and like overall, I laughed through a lot of it. But it's just tedious to get through this episode, especially directly after the man from Tallahassee, when Locke's dad pops out of Ben's box, and then you like, oh my god, what's gonna happen next? And then you have to watch this like weird caper. So I'm ready to get back to the real story. And the best thing about the episode was that they died, and so that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's have Dave sandwiched in between the four of us here, since he says he's going to defend the episode.
Well, I was actually going to ask if I could go last. If
you can't go last because Derek has to go last, but I can let you go after Ben.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Ben, next.
Characters I don't give a shit about, doing things I don't give a shit about, and then dying. I mean, that's
right.
that is the entirety of the episode for me. It was it's basically falling off a cliff. You have the man from Tallahassee, which is one of the best episodes, and then you go to this, which I mean, it's just at this point it's sort of like a quality control thing. This episode is, as far as I'm concerned, should not have existed.
And they do it to you twice in this season. It's a real fucking roller coaster because you go from flashes before your eyes, Desmond, awesome episode, to Stranger in a Strange Land with Jack and his goober tattoo, and then they do it again. Yeah, from Man from Tallahassee to Expose. It's just like, holy fuck, guys.
Well, and when I first saw this episode, my thing was it didn't need to be there was nothing. It did nothing to advance the plot. It did nothing for anybody.
You think the series had jumped the shark?
Yeah,
that's
basically.
what it feels like.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say the only thing of any consequence that happened in this entire episode was that Charlie comes clean. If we're talking about this from an actual story arc, there's nothing else that moves anything in the story within this narrative. Mm-hmm. So the entire thing feels like a thought balloon that somebody should have just let go free.
Wow. All right, Dave, you ready?
Yeah. All right. So with that caveat that Christy just mentioned, and I gotta say that I completely agree. Right? Absolutely no story advancement at all. Having said that, I want to start off by reading a quote from executive producer Carlton Cuse. Okay. So Carlton Cuse said he called this episode, quote, a little bit more of an anthology episode for the show, and that he felt that, quote, it's unrealistic in a show that is now 72 episodes in that every episode is going to be, chock full of plot momentum. I think it's entirely reasonable, and we sort of by necessity have to have episodes that aren't super narratively, propelled. So I think that's a necessary lens to view this episode through. Okay, you got to keep in mind. Yeah, you got to keep in mind that back then this was a serialized drama that was getting orders of 20 plus episodes a season. Right, that kind of shit works for Law and Order, for like procedurals, shit like that. It's also the reason why nowadays dramatic TV shows, serialized television will only get orders of like 10 to 13 episodes. Yeah, because it works. Narratively, it works. It's good for story, right? It keeps it going. So with all those caveats, I think that this is actually a great example of a filler episode. I think if you have to have filler episodes, which the show did have to have at this time, this is what you do with it, right? The inverse of this is Stranger in a Strange Land, which was a fucking shit episode, like
right.
both unnecessary and not even good as a self-contained story. This one was good as a self-contained story. I love the cheesiness of Nikki's TV show. I think that was great. I also read, I did a little bit of research behind this episode, and I read that Expose started as an idea in the writer's room because when they were running into trouble with coming up with ideas for Lost, they would write this other show called Expose just for fun, just to get it out, like this intentionally shitty. They said it said in my research that they ended up with about 10 episodes of Expose written just when they were goofing off, which I think is,
I love that it was Hurley's favorite show.
Yeah. That's awesome. So I thought that the plot sort of reflected one of these cheesy, like, noir. I think you used the word caper, Lacy, which was great. Like it was a very meta episode in that way. I thought, like the whole murder mystery. I loved how it started off as like a Hurley Sawyer Hardy Boys thing, and then more people just kept getting in on the mystery. Like you had Charlie joining in, you had Son. It was like it was something for them to do that day on the island, which is hilarious. The weaving of the old episode footage was great, I thought. Hurley's eulogy was great. It was a poetic send-off, and it was very like audience, fan service, a poetic send-off to Nikki and Paulo, these two universally hated characters. I loved how Nikki got her diamonds in the end, and she wasn't even dead when she got them. Like, she had them and then was just buried with them. I thought that was like poetic. One of the grimmest endings that Lost has ever done, like I said before, like super dark, but like a crazy thing for them to do, and I love that they went there. Let me see, I had something else written down here. No, I didn't. That's it. I think as a self-contained story, it was really great, and I totally get why people wouldn't like it because it didn't propel it forward, but I felt that was somewhat out of necessity. They just had too many episodes they had to write.
Yeah, you make a good argument. Derek, what do you think? Are you going to still hate on it, or has Dave changed your mind at all? What do you think? And I'm guessing you're not left with many lasting questions since nothing happened. But
right.
What do you think?
That was a good argument, Dave, but I still don't agree because this episode did nothing to advance the story. It seems like it was just created specifically to kill off Nikki and Paulo. For me, it was the worst episode of the series so far, and I hated it.
Worse than Stranger?
Yes.
Oof.
Okay.
And they said that there's another one like later on called Across the Sea that's really shitty too. Yeah, I was reading about that.
I'm not a big fan of that one.
Yeah, I think I totally take your meaning that they have too many episodes to fill, and I get that, but to me that's sort of like saying
they could have come up with something.
Yeah, it's sort of like saying, well, there was too much canvas for them to paint on, so they did a shitty painting, and it's like, well, I personally don't care about the format. For me, it's about the hour of entertainment I either got from it or I didn't.
I agree with you there. I think it's a writer's job, to do a good job, but that's why I think this episode was well written, like self-contained. The mystery unfolded, everything sort of they introduced elements to the mystery and then resolved them by the end. It was good writing. Other than the walkie-talkie, I thought that was kind of.
That was lazy.
I thought Expose was. I'd rather watch an hour of Expose.
I haven't said that. I also read that they had before they decided to kill Nikki and Paulo off. They did originally plan to do an entire episode
I read that too.
of just Expose, and that was going to serve as Nikki's flashback episode. But it was going to be like, you think this is her actual past, and then
they wanted to have more gags. Like one of them was where Nikki and Paulo find Shannon's asthma inhaler and just throw it out.
Oh, really?
That would have been amazing.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That would be great. Derek, the episode Across the Sea is almost at the ending of the show. It's about characters you haven't even met yet, so we'll get there.
But as far as biggest questions, no, like Dave said, they pretty much resolved everything, and the only question I've had is, why did they even create these characters? But I know why, because fans wanted them.
Careful.
All right, guys. Dave, it has been awesome to have you here.
It's been awesome to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
We have plans to have you back again in further seasons for sure. But not next week. Next week, the four of us are back. It is for season 3, episode 15. It's called Left Behind. It's Derek's first turn at a Kate episode. Can you believe that shit? All right. Derek's going to do some Kate next week. We'll see you then.
Woohoo!
Thanks again for coming, Dave.
Thank you very much for having me.
Bye, everybody. See you next
Good
week.
night.
Bye.
Check out
Bye,
Lost
Al.
the Plot.
Check out Lost the Plot.
Sneaky plug at the end.
Yep.
Lost in My 40s is a Spacebear Media production. Executive produced and edited by me, Lacy J. Sound engineering, editing, and original music by Benjamin Trimp. Like and follow Lost in My 40s on Facebook to interact with your hosts. Plus, follow Spacebear Media on YouTube to watch our episode pre-shows. You can also find us at Spacebear_media on Instagram and Twitter. Or come to our website, spacebearmedia.com.